My name is Peyton Brooks, and I just turned 27 in Nashville, Tennessee. I'd spent months planning my MBA graduation party at the hottest country spot on Broadway. Private room, live band brisket. I was expecting my whole family to be there, front row clapping when I walked across that stage. Then, right as I was adjusting my cap, my phone lit up. One text from Dad, "Don't wait for us." Already in Aspen. I opened Instagram. There they were, all four of them, in designer snow gear champagne flutes raised in front of a private mountain villa with steaming infinity pools against the Rockies. Caption: "Finally, the real family escape. Aspen luxury." My blood went cold. They didn't just skip my graduation, they rubbed it in my face for the world to see. I stared at the screen, thumbs hovering, then typed back one word: sure. 2 minutes later, I called my property manager and told him to raise the rent on every house they lived in and send the notices that night. Before I tell you how fast their perfect little Aspen vacation turned into a nightmare they never saw coming, drop a comment below and let me know what time it is where you're watching and which city you're in. I want to see how far this story reaches. Let's dive in. I still remember the day I signed the inheritance papers for those 3 old row houses in East Nashville, the ones with the creaky porches and original hardwood floors that Grandpa had bought back when the area was nothing but warehouses and dive bars. He'd left them to me right before he passed 6 years ago, along with a handwritten note that said, "Build something they can't take away." At the time, I was 21, fresh out of undergrad, and the only one in the family who actually showed up to the reading of the will. Dad Gregory had been too busy planning his early retirement. Mom Diane was at some spa weekend, and my sister Morgan claimed she had a migraine that conveniently lasted 3 days. My Aunt Valerie Brooks, Mom's older sister, sent flowers but never bothered to fly in from Atlanta. I never charged them a dime. 3 houses, 0 rent, all utilities covered through a joint account I funded every month. Dad turned the biggest one into his gentleman's retreat with leather recliners and a 75-inch TV he bragged about to his golf buddies. Mom filled another with antique furniture she found on Facebook Marketplace and called it curating. Morgan crashed in the third whenever her latest wellness coaching certification fell through, which was often. Aunt Valerie used it as her Nashville crash pad every time she flew in to network at music industry parties, posting ring light selfies with captions about Southern royalty. Meanwhile, I worked double shifts at a consulting firm downtown, took night classes, and poured every bonus into renovations, so the properties would actually appreciate. By 25, I'd flipped 2 more small rentals on the side, paid cash for my MBA, and still made sure their lights stayed on. Logan Pierce, my boyfriend of 4 years, and the steadiest guy I've ever known, helped me patch roofs on weekends and never once complained about the money I kept funneling to people who treated him like an outsider. He's a structural engineer, owns a small firm that designs recording studios for up-and-coming artists, and the family still calls him the construction guy like it's an insult. I thought the graduation party would finally force them to see me, really see me. I'd sent calendar invites, follow-up texts, even paid for Dad's favorite bourbon to be stocked at the bar. Logan helped me hang the custom banner that read, "Peyton Brooks MBA. The future starts here." Everything was perfect. Then after that single text from Dad, I opened the group photo they'd posted while I was still in my cap and gown. I zoomed in slow, like watching a car crash. I couldn't stop. There was Dad in a $10,000 Canada Goose parka, arm around Mom, who was draped in new fur despite swearing she was cruelty-free now. Morgan had fresh balayage and a diamond tennis bracelet I definitely didn't pay for, laughing so hard her head was thrown back. Aunt Valerie stood front and center in sunglasses that cost more than my first car, holding a champagne flute toward the camera, like she was toasting the photographer. Behind them stretched an Aspen mansion with floor-to-ceiling windows, private hot tubs bubbling in the snow, and a Range Rover parked out front with temporary Colorado plates. I kept zooming until their faces filled my screen. Not one of them looked guilty. Not one of them had even tagged me, mentioned me, or posted a throwback graduation photo like normal families do. The likes were pouring in from cousins' high school friends' mom's garden club. Heart emojis everywhere. Dream trip. Living your best life. Family goals. I sat on the edge of my bed, still in my black gown with the gold Vanderbilt stole, and felt the exact moment something inside me snapped. 6 years of free housing, forgiven overdrafts, bailed out credit cards, emergency flights. And this was the thanks a public flex that I wasn't part of the real family anymore. Logan walked in, carrying the congratulations balloons we'd picked up that morning. He took one look at my face, set them down, and pulled me into his chest without asking questions. I didn't cry. I was way past tears. Instead, I opened my laptop, logged into the property management portal, and started drafting the emails that would change everything. That night, sitting alone with the Cumberland River lights flickering across the water, I made the call I'd never thought I'd make. I dialed my property manager, Mark, who'd handled the houses since Grandpa's estate closed. Send new lease agreements to all 3 addresses, I told him, voice completely steady. Rent jumps from $0 to $2,800 per month per unit starting 30 days from today. No exceptions, no family discount, no extensions. He paused just long enough for me to hear him swallow, then said he'd get the certified emails out before midnight. Next, I logged into the joint utility account I'd been funding since college and froze every automatic payment tied to their names. Water, electric, internet, trash collection, everything shifted to manual approval only. I didn't scream, didn't throw anything. I just clicked confirm and watched the balances turn red. By the time Logan got home from picking up our dry cleaning, my phone was already exploding. 45 missed calls in under 2 hours, starting with Dad and working its way down the family tree. The first voicemail was him, voice tight with that fake calm authority he uses when he's actually panicking. Peyton, whatever this is, fix it now. We're in Aspen. The signal's spotty, but you're embarrassing yourself. Mom left 6 in a row, each one softer than the last, until she was whispering through tears about how stressed Dad was getting. My sister sent 37 text messages that started with "This is a joke," right, and ended with all caps threats to call the tenants' rights board. Aunt Valerie posted a story from the villa hot tub with the caption, "Some people forget where they came from," and tagged me just to make sure I saw it. I played them on speaker while Logan poured us both a drink. He didn't say much at first, just listened to the escalating desperation until Dad's final message cut through. "You think you can freeze us out? We made you. Call me back or you'll regret this." Logan set his glass down, looked me dead in the eye, and said the only thing that mattered: they chose mountains over your future. You don't owe them another second. I muted the phone, turned it face down, and opened the property portal again. The new leases were already signed electronically by the management company, time-stamped, legally binding under Tennessee law. 30 days was more than generous. Most landlords give 3 for non-payment. I added a line item for late fees at 8% and hit send to the printer so I'd have hard copies ready if anyone tried to fight it in court. The messages kept coming even after I blocked the main numbers. They switched to burner apps, email chains, even tried FaceTiming from the resort concierge desk. One voice note from my sister actually laughed at first, like she thought I was bluffing, then dissolved into genuine panic when she realized the Wi-Fi at the villa had just cut out midstream. "Peyton, the kids are freezing. The jacuzzi won't heat. What did you do?" She has no kids, by the way. Just another manipulation tactic she learned from Mom. Logan rubbed slow circles on my back, while I forwarded every new lease to my personal attorney for safekeeping. He knew better than to talk me out of it. He'd watched me carry them for years. Instead, he refilled my glass and said quietly, "They're about to learn what market rate really feels like in Nashville these days." And he was right. $2,800 a month was actually below average for renovated row houses in East Nashville now. Tourists and remote workers had driven prices through the roof, and inventory was non-existent. By 3 in the morning, the calls slowed to a trickle. I finally let myself lean into Logan exhaustion, hitting harder than anger. He kissed the top of my head and whispered, "Tomorrow they'll try every trick in the book. Let them. You just redrew the map, and they're not on it anymore." 2 weeks later, my doorbell camera caught my sister Morgan storming up the front steps, still dragging a Louis Vuitton suitcase with snow still clinging to the wheels. My Aunt Valerie was right behind her in oversized sunglasses and a fur-trimmed coat that looked ridiculous in the Tennessee humidity. They'd clearly taken the first flight out of Aspen the moment the villa's final bill hit their frozen credit cards. I watched them on my phone from the kitchen and let the bell ring 8 times before buzzing them in. Logan was at a job site across town, so it was just me, a fresh pot of coffee, and zero intention of making this easy. The second the elevator doors opened, they charged down the hall like they still owned the building. Morgan burst through my door, first face blotchy from crying on the plane. "What the hell? Peyton? $2,800? We're your family." She threw her phone on the island. The screen showed the new lease agreement with my digital signature glowing red. My aunt marched in right behind her, waving a printed copy like it was evidence in court. "This is elder abuse," she announced to no one in particular. "I'm calling Adult Protective Services on you." I didn't move from my stool. I just slid my laptop across the marble so they could both see the full breakdown. 3 properties, 3 new leases, 30-day clock already halfway gone. Then I opened the forwarded invoice from the Aspen Resort Management, $38,000 for 9 nights private chef heli skiing and enough Dom Perignon to float a yacht. The charges were itemized next to their names because they'd used the emergency credit card tied to the joint account I'd frozen. My sister went pale. "That was supposed to be a surprise bonus from Dad's pension rollover," she stammered. My aunt snatched the laptop, scrolled faster, then looked up with pure venom. "You're jealous," she hissed. "Always have been. Little Miss Perfect Degree thinks she can punish us for taking one vacation." I let her finish, then pulled up the photo roll on the big TV. One by one, their Aspen pictures filled the 85-inch screen, Morgan posing on a snowmobile, in a $20,000 outfit, my aunt clinking glasses with some country singer I didn't recognize. Dad grinning beside a private ice bar carved into the mountain. Every single caption still lives, still public, still celebrating the real family escape that didn't include me. "Keep going," I said quietly. "Tell me again how I'm the jealous one." My sister tried a different angle voice, cracking into that little girl tone she used whenever she needed money. "We can work this out. I'll get a job, I swear. Just give us until the end of summer." My aunt cut her off with a sharp laugh and started snapping fresh photos of my apartment, narrating out loud for her stories. "Look, everyone, this is what betrayal buys in Nashville. Marble counters paid for by family blood." That was the moment I'd been waiting for. I picked up my phone, dialed building security, and put it on speaker. "Hey Mike, it's Peyton in 12B. I've got 2 trespassers refusing to leave. Can you send someone up?" My sister's mouth actually fell open. My aunt tried to grab the phone, but I stepped back calm as ever. Mike and his partner were there in under 4 minutes. Big guys, ex-cops, polite but firm. "Ladies, time to go," Mike said, holding the door. My sister started screaming about lawyers and lawsuits. My aunt threatened to call the news station, said she'd make me internet famous for all the wrong reasons. I just stood there sipping my coffee, while they were escorted to the elevator, suitcases banging against the walls the whole way down. The second the doors closed, I locked every deadbolt-enabled 2-factor on every account they'd ever had access to, and changed the building's guest list so their names triggered an automatic deny. Logan texted 10 minutes later, saw the security footage. "You okay?" I sent him back a single heart emoji and started dinner like nothing had happened. But the real show was just beginning. Cole Ramsey called while I was still adding every new number they created to my block list. He's been my friend since freshman year at Vanderbilt, the one who went straight into commercial lending, and now handles half the high net worth accounts in Nashville. His voice was lower than usual, the kind he only uses when a client is about to lose everything. Peyton, sit down, he started. I just pulled the lien reports on your 3 East Nashville properties. Someone took out an $80,000 HELOC against all 3 titles a month ago. The signatures look forged. The notary stamp is from a UPS store in Brentwood that closed last year, and the funds were wired to a resort holding company in Aspen the same week your family posted those photos. I stopped breathing for a second. $80,000. That explained the private chef the helicopter transfers the designer ski suits my sister had been flaunting in every story. Cole kept talking, pulling up documents on a shared screen so I could watch in real time. My sister's handwriting on the application, my aunt's driver's license photocopied as co-borrower, and a forged power of attorney with my name typed in Comic Sans like they thought no one would notice. They listed the withdrawal purpose as home improvements, Cole said, but the money hit an account titled Aspen Luxury Retreats and was spent within 6 days. I've already flagged it internally. If you file the fraud report today, FDIC will freeze the line in 72 hours and reverse the draw before the bank eats the loss. I didn't hesitate. I opened the template he emailed, filled in every detail attached to the Instagram posts with timestamps, the villa invoice, even screenshots of my aunt bragging about charging it to the house account. Cole stayed on the line while I hit submit to the FDIC portal, then forwarded the same package to the Nashville PD White Collar Division with a polite note requesting an investigation for identity theft and wire fraud. By the time I hung up, every penny of that $80,000 was locked behind federal holds. Cole promised the bank would send demand letters to both my sister and my aunt by morning repayment due in full, or foreclosure proceedings would start on all 3 properties. Tennessee doesn't mess around with mortgage fraud. Penalties start at Class C felony and go up fast when family is involved. My phone buzzed again almost immediately. A single text from Morgan sent from a Nashville area code. She was already back. "You're killing us, Peyton? The bank just called demanding $80K. I don't have it." Another from Valerie, longer and dripping with venom. "Enjoy your power trip. Cole Ramsey will lose his job when I'm done. Blood remembers you, backstabbing little." I screenshot both, added them to the police file, and turned the phone face down. Logan walked in an hour later carrying takeout from our favorite barbecue joint on Charlotte Avenue. He took one look at my screen, read the fraud report, and let out a low whistle. 80 grand for 2 weeks in Aspen. That's not a vacation, that's a felony with extra steps. We ate on the balcony watching downtown lights flicker on the city, humming below like nothing had changed. Cole texted a final update before bed. The resort had already charged back the deposit, my sister's rental car was repossessed in the long-term lot, and Dad's Amex had been declined trying to book them into a Holiday Inn near the airport. They were officially stuck in Colorado with nothing but the clothes they'd packed for snow. I slept better than I had in years. The next morning, an email from Brooke Sullivan landed in my inbox with the subject line, "Urgent, Harper Estate Final Clause." Activation. Brooke has been Grandpa's estate attorney for 20 years, the one who sat me down at 21 and explained why he'd structured everything the way he did. She attached a single PDF watermarked confidential and asked for a video call within the hour. I poured coffee, opened my laptop on the dining table, and clicked join. Brooke appeared in her downtown office, silver hair pulled back, reading glasses perched low. "Peyton," she started without small talk. "Your grandfather added a postscript to the trust 6 months before he passed. I couldn't disclose it until 2 independent triggers were met: your MBA completion and proof of material abandonment by immediate family. The Aspen photos, the forged HELOC, and the lease disputes you forwarded yesterday satisfy every condition." She shared her screen. First document, a college fund of $200,000 earmarked exclusively for my graduate education, now fully matured with interest. Second document, an $800,000 life insurance rider payable, only if I signed a binding affidavit that I would never, under any circumstances, provide financial support to Dad, Mom, my sister, or my aunt again. Grandpa's exact handwriting in the margin. They had their chance. She earned hers. Brooke slid the affidavit across the digital signature pad. One checkbox, one initial line, one final click. Once you sign, she said, the full $1 million wires to your account within 45 days. The clause is ironclad. Any attempt to share even a penny voids the entire payout and triggers a charitable reversion to Vanderbilt. I didn't hesitate. I signed Peyton Harper Brooks in perfect cursive, dated it, and hit submit. Brooke nodded once, professional as ever. Funds are queued. You'll see the first transfer by the end of next month. Congratulations on your degree and on finally being free. I closed the laptop and just sat there, the silence louder than any argument. Logan was still asleep, the city outside just waking up. $1 million I never knew existed locked behind the exact betrayal they'd handed me on graduation day. My phone vibrated one last time before I shut it off completely. A single voicemail from Dad left at 4:17 a.m. Mountain time voice, raw from shouting or crying or both. You think this is over? You're cutting off your own blood. You'll regret this when we're gone and you've got no one. Mark my words, Peyton. You'll regret this. I deleted the message, removed the SIM card, and dropped it into the kitchen drawer with the spare keys I'd already changed twice. Logan stirred in the bedroom, called my name softly. I walked in, crawled under the covers, and let him pull me close. It's done, I whispered. He kissed my forehead and didn't ask questions. He already knew. Brooke emailed again that afternoon. Wire confirmation, scheduled charitable reversion clause publicly filed, and a gentle reminder that any contact from family should be forwarded directly to her office from now on. I archived the thread, created a new email address, and started researching scholarship foundations that helped first-generation MBA students in Tennessee. 45 days later, the money hit my account in 2 clean transfers. I paid off the last of my student loans, put 6 months' expenses in a high-yield savings, and booked a quiet dinner for Logan and me at the same country restaurant where no one had shown up for graduation. This time, the private room was just for us. The band played our song, and every bite tasted like the future Grandpa always meant for me to have. 2 months after the money landed, the eviction notices turned into reality. The 3 East Nashville row houses stood empty for exactly 6 days before new tenants, young musicians, remote tech couples, and a coffee roaster startup moved in at full market rate. I watched the moving trucks from my balcony downtown, sipping iced tea, while the last of Dad's leather recliners got hauled to the curb. Dad now drives Uber 14 hours a day in a 10-year-old Camry that smells like fast food grease and regret. Mom works the morning shift as a cashier at the Kroger on Charlotte Pike Hairnet, and all scanning coupons for customers who used to wave at her garden club parties. My sister's marriage collapsed the same week the HELOC fraud charges were formally filed. Dalton Grant, her husband of 8 years, packed his studio gear and filed for divorce faster than she could change her last name back on Instagram. My aunt sold every designer piece she owned on the RealReal just to cover the restitution order and still owes the bank $32,000 plus interest. The final nail came from Dalton himself. He emailed me a 30-second video the day he moved out my sister on their old couch in sweatpants, mascara streaking, begging him for one more loan to get back to Nashville and fix things with Peyton. He added a simple note, "Thought you should see what rock bottom looks like." I saved the file, forwarded it to Brooke for the permanent record, and deleted every trace of them from my cloud. 1 year later, on the exact anniversary of graduation day, I stood on the Vanderbilt stage again, this time as a donor. I handed over a check for $400,000 to launch the Harper Brooks MBA scholarship for first-generation students from Tennessee public high schools. The dean cried. The recipients cried. Logan held my hand so tight his knuckles went white. Every penny came from Grandpa's trust, every recipient chosen, because they'd worked 2 jobs to get where I once was. I never heard from Dad again after his last Uber review complained about a passenger who talked too much about family. Mom tried once through a coworker who shops at her register, asking if I'd consider helping with rent now that things are tight. The coworker delivered the message awkwardly over coffee. I smiled, paid the tab, and never went back to that Kroger. My sister surfaced on Instagram 6 months ago, 30 pounds heavier, filming herself in a Super 8 motel off Briley Parkway, asking followers for positive vibes and maybe a few dollars for gas. My aunt now hosts Facebook Live yard sales from a storage unit in Hermitage, selling leftover Aspen souvenirs for $10 a pop. Their follower counts combined don't break 4 figures anymore. I blocked every number, every account, every mutual friend who still tried to play middleman. I changed my last name legally to Harper Brooks, so nothing ties me to the old one on paper. Logan and I bought a house in 12 South with cash from the trust, turned the basement into a podcast studio, and started recording stories of other people who chose themselves over toxic bloodlines. Real family is the one that shows up. Real family answers the phone at 2 in the morning when you're crying over loans. Real family celebrates your wins instead of posting vacation photos the day you graduate. Real family doesn't forge your signature for ski trips. To everyone who stayed until the very end, thank you. If this story hit close to home, drop your thoughts below. No judgment, just healing. If you know someone still giving second chances to people who only share this video, let them see what happens when you finally stop paying for loyalty that was never there. I'm Peyton Harper Brooks, and this is the last time I'll ever tell this story. See you in the next one.